to start with an interesting verse, which is usually not used in this context. This is from Luke 6, verse 38. Let me read it out for you. Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured into, fill in the blanks, into, pick the right choice, your pocket, your bag, your lap. Which one? It will be poured into pick up the right one, your pocket, your purse or bag, or your lap. Huh? None of the three? The lap. That's what the scripture says. Let me see what the other versions say actually. But it says here, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be poured on your lap because our hands are too small. So if I say, put it on my lap and even spread out my kameez, I will hold more. Because that's how much the Lord will bless you. If you will give. And if not, you will only have what you have with you. For the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Time is very short for any of us. Whether you are 15 or 50 or 60 or 80 or whatever, time is short. Very short. We better do all that God has called us for. Because soon you will find, you'll wake up one day and he'll say, oh, I wanted to do this, and this. And I ended up doing nothing. I just ended up living in Vasai. Let me backtrack 9 years back. Our lives were normal, good, a very smooth rhythm. And then suddenly everything went topsy-turvy, literally. One fine day, just abruptly, my husband went for a regular checkup and he was diagnosed with 4th stage gastric cancer. Palliative, not curative, there is no treatment. And all of a sudden, our normal lives just turned upside down. We got the diagnosis. It was just before the weekend, and we had to inform the church. My husband was a pastor of a church in Vasai, of one of our GMI churches in Vasai. And on the Saturday before that Sunday, one of our friends dropped in, and he came to pray with us. So he's prophetic, he's very spirit-filled. We like him to come and pray with us. So at this point of need, he came to visit. He laid hands upon Shri, that's my husband, and began to pray for healing. And, all of us were like crying, and we were so overwhelmed with whatever was the news. And then he abruptly turned around to me and he said, Shobha, I see planes taking off, planes landing, planes taking off, planes landing. South Africa, South Africa, South Africa. You're going to travel a lot. Now that was so not the right place. We were all laughing when he finished. We said, you came here to pray for healing. That's the need of the hour. What is this word that you have? I didn't even take it seriously. It was just gone. But that is where it started for me, 9 years back. And up until then, I had a passport, never traveled anywhere. I think I must have taken a plane from Mumbai to Trivandrum maybe once or twice. That's it. Very awkward traveler. And then my husband passed away, and it was a battle for the next 4 years. Next 4 years, it was a battle with God. By the way, God is big, and He is God. He can cope with our battles with Him. If you are unhappy with God, You have the right to speak to him and tell him exactly that. Lord, that's what Jeremiah did. Lord, you have deceived me, and I have been deceived by you. That's what Jeremiah said. We can do that. Because when my husband was sick, one of the promises God gave me was from Isaiah 54, where he says that you will not bear the shame of widowhood. What? Who's ever talking about widowhood? You are God the healer. Come heal my husband. I'm not going to be a widow. But he had very clearly told me, you will be a widow, but you will not carry the shame. He gave me the promise that he will stretch me out to the east, onto the west. Who wants to go anywhere? I'm happy here. I had a fight with God over his promises upon me. You would call me foolish and arrogant, but that is exactly what I did. And one of those days, one of our leaders told me, Shobha, let him go. His time is over. My husband was sinking, but not dying. He was so sick. And he said, let him go. It's time for you to fly. Now, this is the word that kept coming. It's time for you to fly. I don't want to fly. I won't want to fly. And he died. Another quiet day, all by myself, wallowing in sorrow and grief. The Lord gave me a picture. He said, this is a season for you to be a worm, dwelling in dark places, damp places, feeding on leaves and dry foliage. Soon you will get into a cocoon. Nobody will see you, nobody will hear you, nobody will know you. But that's another season. But soon you will move on to become a butterfly. And you will fly. Once again, fly. God is very clear and specific when he speaks to you. And this time when you fly, you will fly amidst flowers, plenty of hues and fragrance. That's the season I am in now. Amongst flowers and butterflies. But that's the thing about prophecies and promises. You see one bit of it, you don't see the whole of it. When Joseph was told that you would be a great man, God didn't tell him about the pit. God didn't tell him that his own brothers would sell him off, or about Potiphar's wife, or about the prison, or about his friends who would forget him. When Jesus called Peter and Andrew and told them, I will make you fishers of men, he didn't tell them the end, that you'll lose your heads. You will die gruesome deaths. You will be beaten black and blue. You will have trying situations. You can't have one without the other. So here is what we're talking about. Trips with a difference. Is that the title? There is a difference. Whoever didn't want to go on an excursion when you were at school? Who didn't want to go for an excursion? Who didn't want to go for a picnic? Who doesn't want to go for the street kids picnic? Everybody wants to, because that is different from your regular school to home trip. Every day you make a trip, but going for an excursion is different. And so my first trip in this whole journey started in 2010. When I signed up, I was the oldest, when I signed up to go for a Himalayan trek. I was really stout. I was fat, not fit. I was old, not young. And I was not at all ready to climb a mountain. But somebody asked me, Auntie, you want to come? Okay, what should I do? Nothing. Just walk with us. It's not like mountaineering. It's like no ropes and stuff. We'll even give you a stick. You just have to walk slowly. But what they didn't tell me is that it's walking up like this. And what they didn't tell me is that they would walk for long hours. What they didn't tell me that I would have to sleep in tents with uneven floor. What they didn't tell me is that I couldn't have a bath for 10 days. What they didn't tell me is that the toilet was just anywhere. But I signed up for that. Every single day. I had Anup with me. Right? I know yours, Swaroop, but Anup was with us. A number of young people from our church were there. They would all walk so quickly, climb up some place, and sit there perched on some cliff or something and say, Auntie, come on, you can do it. And I was like huffing and puffing, and almost every night I went to sleep crying. You know, crying like what? All the other neighboring tents could hear me. There was one man from Mumbai. He actually told our team, he said, you know, she's a liability. She will slow down the pace of the whole team. We'll have to carry her. Let's send her back. On the second day. And I heard him. I was so scared. I said, are you guys going to send me back alone? Chrisma was with us for that. And at one point, we reached some place and we had to abseil. You know abseiling? Rock rappelling. You come to this cliff here, and then you face like this, your back, and you fall back at 90 degrees, like this. So, there's no other way to come down. I have to do it. They said, should I also do it? Yes, Auntie, that's the only way to go down. There's no other way. Okay, I go first. I don't want to see anybody. I will do it first. And so I went up. There was an instructor. He said, Madam, you can do it, no problem. This is an iron rope. This will hold 1,500 kilograms. You are so much more lighter than this. Don't worry. He told me to fall back at 90 degrees. Will I die? No, you won't die. See, this rope, it will hold you. That's what I did. I fell back at 90 degrees and jumped down and came down. I was cheered, loudest cheer. Well done, Auntie, well done. You know the skeptic who called me a liability? He came back and he said, Auntie, we bow down. We are Tej local, fast local, Virar local. You, Auntie, your heritage locomotive. You go slow, but you will go. That was so encouraging for me. That trip was brilliant. When I finished the 10 days, there was such a sense of achievement. I had kind of broken a barrier. I knew, okay, if I can climb this one, I can do anything else. That was the start of me wanting to travel. I came back, I decided I have to go somewhere. I don't know where. I have to go somewhere out of this country. Why do you want to go out of this country? I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know. I want to go out. So I called one of our old friends from England, Vic Gledhill. I said, Vic, I'm ready to come to England. He said, please don't say you're coming for 1 week. That's too short. I said, how long? 1 month? I'm in. Was there a mission in it? I don't know. I just went. I just went. And in that 1 month, I got to work amongst Indian women. I got to work amongst Pakistani women. I got to speak in Hindi, preach in Hindi, which I don't do here. I found out things about myself. I found out, it dawned on me that I am a little bit of a racist. You don't realize it when you're here. When I went out there and I had to sit next to two brothers in the Lord, but the moment I was introduced to them and I found out they are Pakistani, I said, I don't want to sit here. I actually did that. I was ashamed of what I did, but that's what I did. I said, I don't like to sit next to you guys. I actually told them that. I had to go back a few days later and apologize. I had to tell them, this is how I feel. I didn't even know that this is there in my heart. I'm telling you guys that if you think that, no, I don't suffer from these kind of problems, you will never know until you come face to face with that issue. I never thought that racism is something that I would struggle with, but when I came head on with it, I realized, no, I'm not ready to break bread. I'm not ready to break bread. We're always talking about slavery and, all kinds of things, but it's all somewhere in some books. It's until you travel and go out and see it, you will never know. Unless something happens to us in real, you will never know how you will deal with that issue. And so, I went to England for the first time. Didn't know how to pack, didn't own warm clothes, didn't have a sweater of my own, ended up buying a very big coat, which is so heavy and so uncomfortable. That was the only warm thing I carried with me. If I wore it and got into a car, there's heating, I'm hot. If I peeled it off, it's cold. If I go I just didn't know how to pack. I didn't know how to dress. It took me a few times of traveling to realize different ways of doing different things. I had to give away all that I had bought unnecessarily and wear clothes differently. So, in short, my experiences over the last few trips to different places was actually preparing me for something that God really wants me to do. Last week we heard Anand speak about our yesterday, our past, our present, and our future. I think our past is always an instruction. It will instruct you. It is never a blueprint for your today. Your past is always a learning for today. Your past is never a guidance for your tomorrow, for your future. It will prepare you. And now when I look back, all of my experiences, every single one of my experiences have been preparing me for something like this. I have a good hold over languages. I can learn them very quickly. If I sit in conversation with someone for a few weeks, I will quickly catch your mannerisms. I will not only learn language, but I will also learn gestures and mannerisms. Do you know that different countries have different mannerisms? Do you know that? There are some, I forget your name, I think of you as Jesus. Because he acted as Jesus in one of our plays. What's your name? Ethan. Do you think Indians have some strange mannerisms? Say, okay, different. Different mannerisms? Are you confused? Okay, you've now learned, yeah, you've learned to wobble your head. Every country has different mannerisms and, let's say, facial expressions which mean different things, right? So when I went to Turkey, first of all, I didn't know their language. So it was like Tarzan language. You say, so, uh, but I had to learn their mannerisms, sometimes people don't talk. They just say something. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What does that mean? Means, okay, I'm listening. Say, means what? That's what Indians do, right? But when I went to Turkey, if you asked a question, they do this. Tell me what it means. This is something. What does it mean? What do you think? Anybody else? Okay, I'll give you a question. I'm asking him, sir, I like 1 cup of coffee with milk. Can I have 1 cup of coffee with milk? So, okay, what do you think? Anybody else? Yes, fine. You'll get it here. You know what? It means no. Whoever does this for no, and a clicking of your lips, it just could not register that it means no. You only get Turkish chai here, there's no coffee. That's what he wants to say. And the more he did, I kept repeating the same question. Slow motion. 1 coffee with milk. Now, he doesn't understand this. When I say milk, he doesn't know what this is. He's from Istanbul. He's never seen a cow. He only gets milk in a packet. I'm saying 1 cup coffee, milk. And finally I was told by a passerby that he says no. But he didn't say no. I know the word in Turkish for no. But he didn't say no. He only did. And then I realized that this is a very firm, emphatic no. So you have these wayside people who come running, selling stuff, like buy this, please, buy this, buy this. And the more you say, no, I don't want it, they won't move. They'll keep tailing you like this. So the best way to throw them off is just to finish. Nobody will come behind. Because it's an emphatic no. Just do. So please don't do that to me next time you see me, okay? So I had to learn their grunts and their ms and ahs and expressions and not give up. I've been to Turkey twice, and this was the 3rd time I went for a longer stay. The first 2 times I went, it was only for 10 days. I lived in a hotel. I lived in, we just had a good, it was more like a tourist. You don't get to know the people. But if you go and stay with them, I lived with the Turkish family. They didn't speak English, I didn't speak Turkish. So we all were armed with Google Translate. Not very reliable, but at least, it will translate 1 word at a time. And then Tarzan. Me, Tarzan, Eugene. So that was very good and very effective. So when I decided to do that, I found out that I could learn to know their customs, the culture is different. We have a different culture, they have a different culture. I had to learn to abide by their rules. Now, it is absolutely humbling to go somewhere and not have the power of language. Do you know that? Do you know that? You're actually dependent on them. there were days when I would have to brush my teeth by 4 o'clock in the evening again because I have not spoken a word to anybody. Imagine a situation like that. And for me, I always tell people if I can't speak, I will die. I have to speak. Somebody on a phone, say, how long can you? And I became a stalker on Skype. I was like all the time looking. Anybody here? Soon they started, the green button would go off the moment they saw me. Because I just wanted to talk to someone. But when God calls you, it is so important for us to hear Him. If you don't hear Him, if you don't have the calling, soon you will get exhausted. I had to then shut this and say, Lord, what are you telling me? What do you want me to do? And He gave me a brilliant verse from Colossians 1, verses 9 to 11. If you have your Bibles, let's just open that. Even if you don't remember anything of what I'm speaking today, if you can remember this one, Colossians 1, verses 9 to 11. This was Paul speaking to the church in Colossia, and he actually was saying that every time I think of you, I pray for you. So what is his prayer? Now, I always say, if Paul had to send this letter to me as an English teacher, I would have underlined this line all red. Because it is 3 verses, 1 sentence. Can you believe that? Such a long sentence. I'm going to read it out once for you. We continually ask God to fill you with the knowledge of His will through the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives, so that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and please Him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to His glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience. Have you understood everything about this verse? Actually, by the time we come to the end of the line, I have forgotten what he started saying at the beginning. Right? So, it is the Bible, so I cannot say anything bad. But I have not understood anything. But I knew that this is a verse that God wanted to speak to me. And so I mulled over this, chewed it for a few days. And let me tell you what I got out of it. This is a prayer that Paul prays for the church. And what is his prayer? He says, I pray that you will know the will of God. Isn't that what we all need to do as young people? Know the perfect will of God. How do I know the will of God? How do I know whether this is right or wrong? What if I make a mistake? See where that line ends. How will I know? I will know it by the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives. So it's the Holy Spirit who gives us wisdom and understanding. When I was little, maybe little, like 8, 9 years old, my older brother and sister and friends, we sat together and played cards. And my older brother, like most older brothers, used to cheat. Anybody knows that? Or you never cheated? No, you never. He cheated badly. So by the time my father was back from work, I was crying and because he's cheating and he's winning all the time, but I know he's cheating. He's hiding cards under the table. He's sitting on them. He's doing all kinds of things. And so almost every evening, by the time my father comes back, this is the scene. I'm crying and sobbing, and there's a melodrama there. And so my dad I remembered this sitting in Turkey. Your experiences as a child, God will pick it up and use it again. every experience. I remembered this in Turkey. My father would come, pick me up, put me on his lap, and he says, let's start again. Fresh deal. Okay? He picks my cards up. I'm sitting on his lap. First of all, I could never hold those cards in a fan. Okay? I'm like holding it all together. And by the time I pull out, my brother has seen my cards. Okay? So now, the first joy for me is that he holds them all like this. And he holds it like this, away. Okay? I'm busy putting them all in order, putting the corner in order. Let's put the joker first. No. Let's give him a 7. Let's give him a 9. Let's give him some rubbish. We'll keep this for the right moment, the trump card. And guess what? I won again and again and again. Now, my father holds the cards like this. I'm sitting on his lap. I have to lean. No. Here. And eventually I got to know why hold it back. Because he is cunning. He will see my father's cards in his glasses. He won't let him see the image of his hand in his glasses. So my father is a clever man. And in that instance, God told me, the wisdom and understanding that the Holy Spirit will give you will tell you the will of God. All you have to do is ask Him. Ask Him. You will win every game. Let's continue with the verse. You will fill you with the knowledge of His will through the wisdom and understanding the Spirit gives. And when you get that, you will live a life worthy of the Lord. When you live knowing the will of God, you will live a life worthy of the Lord. And you will please Him. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. You will please Him. When you please Him, look back at the verse, you will bear fruit. Much fruit in every good work. Growing in the knowledge of God and being strengthened with all power with His glorious might, so that, look at the end, so that you will have great endurance and patience. What does that mean? What does endurance and patience mean? Hard times will be there. You sign up for a mission trip. Please do not think it is a touristy trip. There will be hard times. There will be challenges. But God will be with you right from the start to the end. And God just took care of every little detail. As of today, I am not afraid of going to that land. Everybody says, why are you going there? What's wrong with you? Why can't you go to some safe country? Which country is safe? Tell me which country is safe. There are no safe countries. Either all countries are safe or all countries are dangerous. And God will go with you. So while I was there, I was asking the Lord, what do you want me to do? Show me what you're going to do through me. So God doesn't want to do anything through us immediately. He just wants to know if you are signing up. Are you signing up? Lord, I don't have the money. That was not the question. The question was, do you have money? No. The question is, who will go for me? Who will go for me was the question. His answer is, Either yes, it's me, or just look at somebody else. The question was never, do you have enough money? Because if you want money, God has it. And I was standing right here, and Swaroop's mum, Meena, one evening prayed over me. And she said, she has no clue about what was happening in my life. She said, Shobha, I see you walking with Jesus. Jesus is carrying a big bag. Every time you needed some money, you looked at him and he gave it to you from his bag. That is not true just for me. That is true for any one of you seated here. You are ready to sign up on a mission trip for him, laying down your all. There's no barter system here. Your all. He will do the rest. Doesn't matter what the cost is. He will do the rest. I was here last 2 weeks back. That's the first Sunday I've come back. 1st of February, I was here. Somebody in the congregation, she's a visitor. She doesn't even know me. When the service was over, she came up to me and she said, Shobha, I saw the Lord place a backpack on your shoulder. She doesn't even know me. She doesn't even know that I've come back just from a mission trip. She says, I saw the Lord place a backpack on your shoulder, filling it up with little things. You're going to travel. And every time you need something, the Lord is going to provide it for you. How supernatural can that be? Would you like to live a life of faith like that? Wow, Shobha, so nice. Let me tell you, I never thought that it would be like this. Is it fun? Of course it is fun. Is it scary? Yes, it is scary. Is it like all the time perfect? No, it's not. But God will test us to see at every juncture, are we ready to do what He asks you to do? So Turkey is very cold in winter. I had this coat, and then I realized I had some pathetic shoes, not good enough for the climate. My toes were getting like frozen. I didn't want to go out because it's too cold. And then I realized, oh, I need to buy big boots. So I started wearing these fancy big boots. If you saw me, you would be shocked. From wearing sari here in Mumbai, now I'm walking around with these big boots, woolen socks, scarf, and coat. It served me well, okay? When I needed it, I had it. Now I'm coming back, and I'm thinking, oh, carry all this to Bombay? I don't even have place in my suitcase. So, what did I have to do? Give it all away. That is how loosely you hold things. The more I begin to possess and hold things tight to me, that's all you will have. So, my need is finished. There are so many others here going through winter. They do really like to have a coat. Give away the coat, give away the boot, give away the walking shoes, give away whatever you don't need. Give it away. It's always a test. Give it away. Before I landed, I'm back with the right kind of footwear I need here. Did I have the money to buy all of it? Not really, but I got it. How did you get it? Ask the Lord. You will get exactly what you need. Remember the verse I read for you? What you need, the Lord will give it to you. We are not asked to hoard. We are not asked to collect. We are only asked to be sojourners, travelers, and do exactly what He asks us to do. Now, if you need to have this kind of a journey, you need to be courageous. Remember I told you going up the mountain? You need to have courage. Ephesians 6 gives you the armor, the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shield of faith, the shoes of the gospel of peace, the helmet of salvation, and only one to attack, which is the sword. All of this is hand-to-hand combat. It's not to air to ground and ground to air. It's hand, one-on-one combat. The only thing you're not allowed to do in a trip like this is turn back and run. Retreat. You know why? There is no armor for your back. There is no armor for your back. If you want to go on trips, which is adventurous, which is different, which is serving God's purposes, seek His will. Ask Him. He will open doors. When He opens doors, don't say, oh, not this one. I want to go to another one. No, go for the first one. That's a learning place. Then He'll open the better one the next time. But when He opens doors, walk right through. It needs courage. It needs faith. It needs generosity. And finally, it needs courage. Put on your armor and go right in. Any questions?